I guess I should go to sleep. Too hard.
Did you know Albuquerque adolescents have to be at school in their seats ready for the bell at 7:25 a.m.? So what time does that mean they have to be ready for the bus? Somewhere between 6:30 and 7 perhaps? What does that mean as far as a wake-up time? Would that be maybe between 6 and 6:30? Oh, but shouldn't they eat breakfast in there sometime? And what if they like a morning shower? How early do they have to get up then? Did you also know that teens have physiological changes rendering it nearly impossible for them to go to sleep before midnight? There's a melatonin shift that changes the sleep pattern in a teen's brain. It means the sleep signals for adolescents happen a few hours later than the sleep signals for children or adults. This means in the scenario they're currently living, teens get about 6 hours of sleep a night. For healthy development, adolescents need about 8.5 hours to 9.5 hours of sleep per night. Myth. Teens can go to bed earlier and get up earlier to get to school at about 7 a.m. Well, come on, this is obviously not true. If they can't get to bed until midnight, they can't get up earlier and find any sort of way to compensate for that. And so they get into what's called a sleep deficit or a sleep debt, where they keep losing about 3 hours of sleep per night. Myth. Teens will perform better if they get up earlier. Well, this is an absolute myth. Teens, when their school schedule has been changed even 45 minutes later, have gone on to win athletic championships that year when the schedule was changed to be at 8:15 instead of 7:30, for example. Their school performance their grades have gone up. Connecticut, Minnesota, I think it was Kentucky, but many places who have changed their schedule to adapt to these biological realities that happen in the brain chemistry of teens have seen performance both in school and athletics skyrocket for teens. So consider that, Albuquerque. Myth. Teens can catch up on their sleep on weekends. Reality. Not only can teens not catch up on their sleep, but when you vary the sleep cycle for teens or adults or anybody, it actually makes their sleep worse. So sleep doctors and sleep scientists have found that if, for example, a teen is losing out on 3 hours per night during the week and they have this sleep debt, so then on the weekend they then stay up later with their friends and have a good time and party and go to bed at 1 a.m. and then they get up at like 10 a.m. Throwing off their sleep schedule like that ends up putting them even more of a strange sleep-wake cycle that ends up making them want to go to bed later the next day, and then when Monday comes again, they're all out of whack. So no, can't catch up on the weekends. Sorry teenagers, sorry adults. So on the one hand, adolescents are wired to sleep from midnight until 9 a.m. And on the other hand, they're in a social situation that requires them to wake up at 6 a.m. That leaves them with only 6 hours of sleep. So that's like asking you as an adult to wake up at 3 a.m. each day to get ready for work. So Albuquerque, we need to move our school start times later for adolescents. In case you think that this is a local problem or even a national problem, let's telescope out for a minute, because this is actually a global problem for teens and adolescents. In China, for example, a study of 1,538 adolescents showed that sleep deprivation was associated with behavioral problems. In Italy, a study by Flavia Giannotti of 14 to 20-year-olds showed a correlation between increased daytime sleepiness, increased vulnerability to accidents, the increased use of stimulants and tobacco, and sleep problems. Also, anxiety was in there as well. A survey of about 1,500 Korean students revealed that there's a progressive decrease in total sleep time from grades 5 to 15 of 3 hours of sleep on weeknights. So this study said that 10th graders averaged over in Korea 6.02 hours of sleep per night on weeknights, and 12th graders then over there 4.86 hours of sleep. So the study showed major detriments to functionality, with symptoms of daytime sleepiness and then depression, depressed mood, and problems with sleep-wake behaviors. So that's now to Japan. A nationwide survey of 108,000 junior and senior high school students in Japan found a significant relationship between less sleep than recommended and smoking. And so the study showed 45% of daily smokers and yes, 39% of occasional smokers slept less than 6 hours per night. Another study concluded that there was a need for health education related and aimed at solving the sleep problems of Japanese adolescents. So it's like people don't even know that they need sleep. There's this cultural thing going on, especially in Japan, around sleep. So these included stresses, like people don't understand that drinking, alcohol, unhealthy lifestyle behaviors, and a high level of stress and being in school add to sleep problems. Now, the University of Maryland is doing a long-term study to study the relationship between teen sleep-wake cycles and the daytime sleepiness as they relate to school engagement and academic performance, in teens from varying racial and economic backgrounds in urban versus suburban settings. And so this is probably going to be data that's valuable to the entire world. So the university, that's a little bit of data about the international global look at what's going on with sleep in adolescents. Let's look at what we can do as a community and some strategies, like community strategies, to actually raise awareness and think about how to educate each other about the importance of sleep and like waking up to the importance of sleep for our adolescents. Okay, if we're going to ask something like the schools in a city to change the start times of school and to make them later, then we're going to have to do a lot of educating people as to, what would make that a good idea. And so on a local level, what can a community do, or at least a few leaders and community organizers within a community, what could they do to raise awareness and start to make a change like that happen? Well, it starts with educating people. And so public forums are one way. That's basically getting out there and talking to each other in groups. And you would start with the school districts and the administrators within that school district, like, the superintendent of the school and all of the administrative staff. There are political groups, like one Connecticut group went to the League of Women Voters, and they're the people who really got the school district involved, and so that's one idea. School administrators, the PTA boards, political groups at the city level, even the state level if there are any groups that you want to get involved. And then you have the parents and the students themselves who need to be educated. You can contact them through email, through letters, through surveys, and this is a way to get their feedback, and you really want to allow people to express themselves in order to get them involved in making change happen. Is to get sleep into the curriculum of either a science class or a health class, because that helps students to understand the importance of sleep to their own health. Because what is it affecting? It's affecting their well-being, it's affecting their ability to perform both academically and athletically. And in this culture somehow, well, not just this culture, but like we said, globally, people have the idea that sleep is something that can be negotiable, that that's the thing that can fall off, when really it enables people to do everything else in their lives. Science class or a health class, then we start to do our part to really educate people from the ground up on the importance of sleep in the lives of teens, and people start to understand why teens can't just go to bed at 9 o'clock like they could when they were 8 and 9 years old. Well, because puberty happened and that changed their melatonin, and so they really can't fall asleep now until 11 o'clock or midnight. And slowly, as people's awareness changes, then policies change, and the whole environment starts to understand something different and then starts to respond differently. Look, change scares people. If, like many communities, Albuquerque wakes up to the researched evidence and believes that teens would benefit from better health, from better behavior and learning outcomes, and the increase in academic and athletic performance that accompanies adequate sleep, then supporting them in the campaign of public awareness and incorporating an academic curriculum into school health or science classes should be supported. Thank you.
Quiet is probably my best bet yet, 'cause I ain't managed to say the right thing yet. Well, I guess I should go back to bed.